Hello, everyone. If you're paying any attention to the news, especially the business news, and you're seeing headlines like this about recessions and the stock markets going down, I would ask you to remember the words of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and don't panic. As my good friend Ted Noakes often likes to say, that as long as Western civilization hasn't collapsed, the ups and downs in the marketplace are inevitable. And if you're planning properly, they're not going to affect your long term investment strategy. Of course, if you need money soon, it's a different conversation. We'll talk about that a little later in the presentation. But the volatility that's in the marketplace currently is not uncommon. It happens on a regular basis, and it's one of the reasons why people invest in the stock markets, because it's an opportunity for gain. Um, but since 1950, there have been nine major bear markets. That is a pullback in value in the market that's defined by more than 20%. I've got the dates listed up there. You can look that information up about each of them if you're interested, or contact me and I can give you some information about the activities that were going on in the world at that time and the impacts that those particular markets had. But all of those nine events all had the same thing in common, that the market lost 20% or more in value. But the interesting thing is that they all came back again. So that's defining from a peak to the bottom and back to recovery again, and then a continuation of value in the marketplace of more than 20%. Uh, they they range from 21% to 56% of a loss in value from the peak to the bottom. But the interesting thing is it didn't last very long. The shortest was 3 months, the longest was just under 5 years. But the average duration over that time was 26 months. So what does that mean? It means that if you didn't need the money within that 26 month period, my apologies, then it didn't matter that the market did this. In fact, if you were continuing to invest by putting monthly allocations towards that, you were actually going to come out ahead because you were buying more units at a lower value than they had been at the peak. And when the peak came back again, everything you bought down here that was on sale was actually worth an awful lot more. So if you have a long time to invest, then it doesn't matter that the market is going to have these activities within that time period. And in fact, you actually want it to have that happen. A steady state increase like this doesn't really benefit the investor, because everybody is getting the same benefit from it and we're all getting rich. And so relatively speaking, it doesn't matter. So what does that mean? And what would you do if you were an investor? Well, it depends on your time frame. And when I work with clients, it's the first question I always ask when they say, well, what should I do with my money? The question is, well, when do you need it? So here's a basic rule of thumb for what you should be doing with money based on your time frame. If your duration, that is when you need the money, is within the year. So you need the money now because it's generating income for you. So you're not working, you don't have any other sources of income, perhaps you're retired. You should have money that is either in cash or money markets, something where it is not participating in the marketplace, and going up and down doesn't matter because you need that guarantee of consistency. Or if you're buying, so that's income, or a purchase. So if you are using that money as a down payment for a home, you definitely should not be having it exposed to market volatility. It should be in something relatively safe, so that when you need that money, you know that it's still there. Like if you have $100,000 that you need for a down payment, you don't want to wake up one morning and find it's only worth $90,000. So if you need the money within the year, shouldn't be doing that type of investing anyway. If you're looking at 1 to 3 years, again, I would probably keep that money away from a regular traditional stock investment anyway. You're going to put yourself at greater risk for loss by trying to chase some high returns for money that you're using in the next 1 to 3 years. So this could be for a home purchase, it could be for investing in a business, it could be a child's education. Maybe you're coming into retirement in the next 1 to 3 years and you want to start protecting that money. So again, no investment, no markets, none or limited market exposure. Um, 3 to 5 or 6 years. Well, now you've already exceeded this 26-month recovery on average duration. So you might consider having some exposure to the marketplace. The last thing you would want to do is miss out on an opportunity by not participating, because just keeping money on the sidelines over a period of 3 to 6 years is going to be a loss to inflation. You're going to erode that value, that purchasing power of that money over that period of time. So you could have something that is a moderate investment or even a balanced investment. So those are mixes of bonds and equities. And I've got lots of videos that talk about that allocation. You can message me if you'd like to know a little bit more. 6 years to 10 years. Well, if you remember those dates that were up there, you may have two bear markets, two downturns of more than 20% within that 6 to 10 year period. But you've got more than 26 months in there on average for them to recover. So you can take on a little bit more risk. So you could have a balanced investment, or even something slightly more than that. And anything more than 10 years, for those of you who reached out and got an index sheet from me that shows the market returns in the last, since 1950, you've seen over any 10-year period that the market value is always up over what it had been at the beginning. So you can be very aggressive. You can anywhere from 80% equity to 100% equity, and aggressive inside that. You're accepting the risk that there's going to be market ups and downs. You're going to have at least two 20% or more downturns, maybe three, depending. So if you've got 10 years, it doesn't matter. So those of you who are investing right now or worried about what's going on with the investment markets, if you are in your 30s or 40s, you're not going to use that money for a house purchase, to invest in a business, to send a child to educate to school, and you're not looking to retire, don't panic. You're going to be just fine. If you do want to get some more information, please let me know. I'm happy to reach out and talk about that, give you a second opinion on what it is that you're investing in. But you don't want to, if you've got a long time frame, you don't want to miss out on growth opportunities, because you're going to live longer. You're going to work less if you retire sooner, and that money's going to have to last as long as you do and then some. So I hope this has set some minds at ease. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. My contact information is below, Mike Riley, and I'm happy here to be able to give you any more information that helps with your financial decisions. Gain altitude and gain confidence.